Hi guys, my name's Summer. I'm a tutor with GAMSAT Science and a third-year medical student at the University of Sydney. Previously, you might have seen my video on how to study for Section 1, and here we're going to focus on Section 2, which is the most daunting section for a lot of people. So let's get into some strategies. Section 2 is formally known as the written communication section, and it consists of two essays, Part A and Part B, each with a set of quotes that's related to a common theme, which you need to discuss during your essay. You're given 60 minutes plus 5 minutes of writing time to complete this section. So Section 2 in general tests your knowledge and, more importantly, your communication skills. So the first step is to identify a common theme throughout the quotes. So here we can see an example set of quotes, and we can see that fairness is the theme that runs throughout them. So you want to start thinking about how you might interpret and discuss this. You want to rephrase each quote in your own words, and in practice, it's often helpful to write this down, especially in the early stages. And then you want to identify which quote or quotes you feel that you relate to the most, or feel you could discuss in an interesting and a well-developed essay. Next, using the quotes as like a blueprint or a context, you want to just brainstorm and write down every example or thought that comes to mind. So use dot points at this stage. You don't want to worry about form or sentence structure or anything just yet. You're really just trying to get all of your ideas out. You might want to think in terms of social, political, or economic impacts, or how the thing relates to incidents from your personal life. If one or two quotes stands out to you at this point, you may want to focus on these in your brainstorming. But if it's a more difficult topic area, it might help to brainstorm with all of the quotes in mind. Because you may find that afterwards you have more to say or more interesting things to say about a less obvious quote than the ones that stood out to you initially. In the early days, writing these down is really helpful so that you can have a bit of a visual guide to your writing, but later on you may want to just do this brainstorming mentally. And you want to use your brainstorming sessions over time to build up an ideas bank. So this is full of opinions, examples, and personal experiences that you can readily talk about in depth, and which might apply to several different types of prompts. So you want to keep a list of these at easy access and then refer back to them before you do a practice essay. Once your brainstorming is complete, have a quick look through your ideas and pick out a few that you can link together to form an engaging essay that focuses on one or two of the quotes. You want to summarize the main points of these into one concise sentence, which will be your thesis statement that you'll place at the end of your introduction. The rest of your ideas can be arranged into a general outline to guide your writing. We'll discuss some specific essay structures for Part A and Part B shortly, but in general, your outline should demonstrate a clear flow from one main idea to the next, with each main idea backed up by examples or further discussion. There should be an introduction, 2 to 3 main paragraphs, and a conclusion that summarizes your points with a take-home message. Finally, onto the writing stage. So given the time constraints of Section 2, you want to try to write with a continuous flow of ideas guided by your outline without getting stuck trying to perfect the sentence structure or choose the perfect words at this point. These are all things that you can edit and enhance on your read-through of the essays later. Remember, it's the quality of the arguments, not the length of the essay or having the perfect grammar, which is what counts towards marking at the end of the day. And with any remaining time, you can have a read through your essay and improve the clarity and the flow of your ideas. Remember that you're given 60 minutes for this entire section with both essays, so it's generally best to tackle both of the essays and then go back at the end and use the rest of your time to edit them, rather than trying to edit the first essay before you've started the second one. So what is the difference between Part A and Part B? You'll often hear Part A described as a more argumentative or persuasive essay that focuses perhaps on sociopolitical or environmental topics, whereas Part B is a more reflective or narrative type essay that focuses on topics like friendship or humor. It's helpful at the start of your practice to try to write Part A and Part B in this way, to get a feel for the different writing styles and different structures that you can use, and to determine what your strengths are. But it's important to realize that in terms of marking, these strict essay formats are not requirements. So you can write both essays in the Part A format, or you can use personal examples as a basis for both. As long as your communication is clear and well thought out, you'll score well on Section 2, regardless of the strict structure that you use. So for part A, the general structure includes an introduction, which should present your arguments like a roadmap, and then finishes with your clearly worded thesis statement. Then this is followed by a few body paragraphs, perhaps 2 or 3, which each have a topic sentence, examples or discussion, and a concluding sentence. It's quality here that's important, so if you have 1 or 2 points that you can describe in depth, that will be more effective than having several body paragraphs with several examples in each. Your conclusion at the end should include a summary of the main ideas with a take-home message. Now, your essay should have a strong persuasive tone, and it should discuss your ideas clearly with a logical point of view. There's no right or wrong opinion, so you're not assessed on the correctness of your ideas or attitudes, and the markers have to approach each essay in an objective and non-biased way. So as long as your opinions are not naive or blatantly offensive, you're free to take on whatever opinion you choose. Whatever you write just has to be thoughtful and discussed in enough depth that no matter how familiar your reader is with that topic, they can finish your essay with a good understanding of your points. So part B prompts generally invite a more creative or reflective piece, which is based on your personal experiences and discuss what was challenging and what you learned from that experience. At the bottom of the slide, you can see a sample creative sentence here, and just notice the visual imagery in the description that's used. Passages like this can be really useful at the start of your essay to sort of draw the reader in, or they can be used throughout your essay if it's more of a narrative piece. Alternatively, you may want to write a more pensive or philosophical discussion, which focuses on how the topic relates to society and or to your own life. Your essay structure can be written as a timeline of events, a narrative discussion, or a more part A style argumentative essay, which discusses pros and cons or different issues related to the subject. No matter what structure you choose, you must develop an insightful viewpoint, which forms as a takeaway for the reader at the end of the piece. And you want to really show your personality in this essay and use your personal voice when you're writing. So section 2 can be quite daunting, and you want to maximize your confidence in your writing ability. So it's ideal to sit down about 6 months ahead of time, have a look at the exam structure, and identify your strengths and weaknesses in this area. It's also important to start reading widely. You want to try to build this into your daily life and make it a habit. Maybe listen to a podcast on the way to work or read a short story just before you go to sleep. And you want to focus on topic areas that you find that you have the least knowledge in. For instance, I'm not very knowledgeable in things like economics or politics, so for my study, I tried to expose myself to articles and news sources in these areas, because throughout this, you're really trying to build up that ideas bank that you can use when you're writing essays. If you're more of a big picture person in terms of your writing style, philosophical ideas can be helpful to learn about, because these can be used quite flexibly and they can apply to quite a wide variety of prompts. And as you build up this ideas bank, it's helpful to put this in your phone in a notes page or something like that so that you can easily refer back to it and add to it throughout your study. So to get a high score in section 2, it's all about the practice. Several universities now prioritize the humanities section, which makes your writing skills even more important. So from about the 3-month mark, or earlier, depending on your experience, you want to start writing. So just start by sitting down and brainstorming as many ideas as you can to a quote set, and then build up to writing a complete essay. So focusing first on making an outline, and then on fleshing out the entire essay. And you want to leave each essay after you write it, and then come back later and critically analyze it, and try to improve it, and try to look at it through the lens of an outsider so that you can make sure that it's very clear. As you practice, you'll naturally get faster, so you can work on timing and start with maybe like a 60-minute limit per essay, and then cut down to give yourself 25 to 30 minutes per essay. And as I mentioned in the section 1 video, a good way to structure your study is to dedicate as much time as possible during the holidays if you're a student, or to fit it into small blocks on the weekdays and focus study on the weekends if you're working full-time. Now, when you reach 1 month out from exam day, you want to start practicing full papers, so both essays together under properly timed conditions. You want to aim for 1 or 2 full papers per week, and always go back through and edit your essays, perhaps with a tutor or with a friend, so that you can maximize your communication skills in this section. A big part of section 2 is confidence, because it's really easy on test day to panic and then get a writer's block. So with enough practice behind you, you'll have the writing skills and the confidence to be able to tackle whatever quotes that ACER gives you on the day. Now, there are a lot of different study materials out there that are helpful. ACER has several practice exams and an online test generator that you can use for an AI marking of your of your papers. Desert Meal also has a really good series of books, and GAMSAT Science has several resources on the website as well as tutoring. And then I've also listed some philosophy resources here if you'd like. So good luck.